In a high-stakes conversation, what's the most powerful thing you can say? It's often nothing at all. Most people think of silence as empty space, a conversational void to be filled as quickly as possible. But that's a mistake. A short, purposeful silence isn't empty. It's an amplifier. It creates a psychological vacuum that people feel an intense need to fill, often with the very information you need, the concessions you're hoping for, or the truth they were trying to obscure. Our brains are wired for rhythm. Across 10 different languages, researchers found the median gap between speakers is just 200 milliseconds. That's faster than an eye blink. We are subconsciously trained to pass the conversational baton with incredible speed. So when that rhythm breaks, even for a few seconds, our social brain flags it as an error. A 4-second silence can trigger a genuine feeling of social threat, of rejection. This isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable psychological discomfort. And when people are uncomfortable, they talk, they explain, they concede. Not because you're intimidating them, but because you're calmly holding a space that their mind is desperate to close. By the end of this video, you will understand how to use the 3 to 5 second pause as a tool for clarity and composure. This isn't about learning to be cold, manipulative, or intimidating. This is a defensive skill. It's about how to gather information without being aggressive, how to hold a boundary without a fight, and how to stay grounded when someone is trying to rush you. You will learn to wield silence not as a weapon, but as a shield and a source of quiet power. The first use of a strategic pause is to create an information vacuum. When you ask a direct question, especially one involving numbers or commitments, and then fall silent, you create a space that the other person feels compelled to fill with details. Consider a job offer negotiation. You've been given a number. Instead of immediately countering, you ask a calibrated question. Is there any flexibility on that base salary? And then you wait. You don't fidget. You don't rescue them from the silence. You just hold your space with calm eye contact. The recruiter, uncomfortable with the gap, might volunteer, "Well, the base is locked, but I might be able to add a $5,000 sign-on and an early performance review." You didn't push. You opened a space, and they filled it with a concession. The application is simple in theory, but requires practice. Ask your single, open-ended question. Then, immediately take a quiet, slow breath deep into your belly. In your mind, count 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Maintain soft eye contact. Your nonverbal cues should signal that you are thoughtfully considering their position, not that you are angry or preparing an attack. Your calm is what makes the silence feel safe enough for them to offer more information. When you set a boundary, long explanations are an invitation to a debate. Every reason you give is a point they can argue against. A short, clear boundary, followed by silence, signals finality without aggression. Imagine a sibling asked to borrow your car for the 3rd time this month. Instead of a long story about your own schedule or the car's maintenance, you say, calmly and warmly, "I'm not able to lend my car out anymore." Then you stop. You go quiet. They will likely test it. Not even for an hour? You hold the silence. You can offer a gentle smile, but you don't add words. The silence forces them to confront the boundary itself, not your justification for it. Your stillness does the work. The pattern is, state the boundary in one clear, kind sentence. Then physically relax your body. Let your shoulders drop. Take a slow breath. If you feel the urge to justify, take a sip of water instead. Let them be the next one to speak. You are communicating that your internal peace is not dependent on their immediate agreement. If they continue to push, you can calmly repeat the boundary one more time and then change the subject or end the conversation. This requires a strong guardrail. Silence is not a lie detector, but it can be a truth filter. A large meta-analysis of over 100 deception studies found a small but reliable pattern. People who are fabricating a story often take slightly longer to begin answering, and their answers contain fewer concrete sensory details. A pause allows you to spot the difference between recollection and construction. Imagine a team member missed a critical deadline. You ask, "Walk me through what happened yesterday between noon and 5." Then you wait. Do you hear a vague summary like, "I was just swamped with calls and a bunch of other stuff came up"? Or do you get a specific, detailed timeline? The pause gives you a baseline to observe their initial response before they can settle into a polished narrative. Your job is not to be an interrogator. It's to be a seeker of clarity. After you ask your question in pause, listen for the quality of the information. If it's foggy, your follow-up is simple and non-accusatory. "Tell me more about that," or "Be more specific." Then pause again. You are treating their hesitation not as a verdict of guilt, but as a signal to explore further with gentle, persistent curiosity. High-pressure tactics, from pushy salespeople to aggressive debaters, rely on speed. They build a constant stream of words to overwhelm your critical thinking and get you to agree before you've had a chance to process. A deliberate pause shatters that momentum. It's like putting a stick in the spokes of a bicycle. The entire machine grinds to a halt. A powerful technique here comes from hostage negotiation. It's called a mirror. Simply repeat the last 1 to 3 words your counterpart said with an inquisitive tone. A salesperson says, "And this premium package is only available today." You reply, "Available today?" Then go completely silent for 4 seconds. It forces them completely off their script. They will almost certainly rush to fill that silence, often revealing the real terms of the deal. In any social interaction, notice who rushes to fill the silence. More often than not, it is the person who feels they have lower status in that moment, the person who is more anxious, the one seeking approval. They interpret silence as disapproval and rush to fix it. By training yourself to be comfortable in that gap, you subconsciously signal composure, confidence, and authority. Imagine you're in a meeting with a senior leader. You present an idea. The leader says, "I'm not sure I see it," and then falls silent, watching you. The novice reaction is to immediately panic and start over-explaining. This signals neediness. Instead, try holding that silence for 3 seconds. Let their statement hang in the air. Nod thoughtfully. Then, ask calmly, "What part is the most unclear?" You've held your ground, demonstrated that you aren't rattled, and turned their challenge into a collaborative inquiry. We often think we need to be smart to get smart answers, but sometimes we just need to be quiet. Groundbreaking research in education found that when teachers increased their wait time to just 3 seconds after asking a question, the length and complexity of student answers increased by up to 700%. People need a moment to access deeper thoughts. A pause is an invitation for substance. This works just as well with your team, your partner, or your friends. When you ask someone, "What's the real challenge here?" your instinct is to immediately jump in with suggestions. Is it a resource issue? Is it Bob from accounting? Don't. Ask the question and then give them the gift of a silent gap to think in. That's where the real insights are hiding. A final, critical point. Silence is a powerful tool, so its intent matters. These techniques are for clarity, defense, and composure, not control. First, be mindful of culture. Pause norms vary dramatically around the world. What feels thoughtful in one culture may feel cold in another. Calibrate to the room. Second, don't over-interpret gaps on phone or video calls. Digital lag creates false silences. And most importantly, never use silence to punish a loved one. Withdrawing into a stony, punitive silence is known as stonewalling, and it is incredibly destructive to relationships. A strategic pause is always paired with warm body language and the genuine intent to understand, not to win. So here is the reframe. Silence isn't the absence of power. It's the way you hold it. It's not an empty void in a conversation. It's a space you intentionally create for truth to surface, for thoughts to deepen, and for your own composure to settle. Your action for this week is simple, but not easy. In one conversation that matters, a negotiation, a family talk, a one-on-one at work, ask an important open-ended question, and then count to 4 slowly in your head before you speak again. Just observe. Observe what happens in them and what happens in you. If learning to understand the hidden dynamics of human interaction is valuable to you, subscribe to Mind Mode. We focus on grounded skills for calm social power.